But why do you think the Nazis were angry with the Jews?
It was all first, their anger, how it started. I won't justify them. I don't want to seem anti-Semitic, but how it started, you find that there are these complaints. When you grow up, you usually hear of complaints that people from this certain tribe, they behave this way, they are this way. And as you grow, apart from hearing, you'll see that actually what people are saying is the truth, because in one way or the other, these people are mean. These people seem to be like they're said to be.
Yeah.
So that is how it was happening with the Germans, that all shops, they're run by the Jews, all car owners, all wealthy people. So we, the Germans, we, the original people of this land, we don't own up, so blah, blah, blah. And that's how it all started. And now this guy, was he a Polish? Or is he, which country was Austrian?
Austrian, yeah.
Yeah, Adolf was from Austria initially, yeah. So he now came up, he seized that opportunity to
do away with them.
Yeah, to mobilize the mass and convince them that indeed these people, they're evils.
Because I heard somewhere, the way they're still influential in the world, even if you look at America, most of the leaders who are occupy most of the positions in the executive in America, the influential positions are actually Jews. Even with Germany, they did the same. So each place they occupy,
they conquer
that place. You can totally see how it is even currently. The US, the UK, it's just purely... and you can tell it's conquered by them, how the decisions they're making, even with the conflict that is existing right now. You can clearly tell that the Jews have conquered these places.
Yeah, actually, I won't be surprised to know that when we say that the US has decided to supply weapons, it's actually these guys. It's not the US. It's these guys who have decided that they want to supply Israel to, all those sorts of things.
Because, with the war in Ukraine, you can actually defend it to some extent, because if Europe is not in order, it somehow affects the US directly.
Sure.
But now with the Israel-Hamas conflict, there's no correlation or there's no benefit Americans are reaping from it. You can clearly tell that.
There is, with the war there is no benefit. But losing Israel, it won't be beneficial either, because the only stronghold, I think, that the US, the last stronghold that they do have in the Middle East is Israel. Even though they have countries like Saudi and all those, but you see, Saudi, they do fear the Houthis. So they're kind of, they watch their moves. So the only place that the US has its foot very well is Israel. And so maybe I think it's a point of interest.
It's a point of interest if you put it that way, because ideally in the Middle East, there's no place where the Americans are more welcomed than in Israel. So we're also going to talk about, so yesterday, by the time we're recording this, they had called the Israel government, through the IDF, had called for aid. So currently the people in Gaza, mostly Palestinians, receive aid from well-wishers. So they had gathered to receive aid, and there was a shooting that happened. Almost over 100 people succumbed to that. Of course, Israel has...
a mass shooting.
It was sort of a mass shooting. So Israel has distanced itself from this issue, claiming that it was just a stampede. But literally there are clips showing them shooting at the people.
Stampede now. How does guns come into a stampede?
So it just clearly shows they're outrightly committing genocide without fear of anything.
It clearly shows the intentions, what they really need, or what they intend to do. So I'm sorry for the people who were maybe killed. Or, the people of Palestine. I watched some videos. They call it persecution. To them, it's persecution. And by the way, some people are more ready to die in that area, fighting for their cause, because they've really, how those people usually operate with their religion is that they believe that they're fighting for a good cause. They believe that they're fighting for their cause. So to them, that death, they think it's just a persecution of which they know they'll come to win. So maybe, condolences to those who were killed on that particular day.
Yeah, and on the other side, Netanyahu is supposed to, he has refused to let the elections to go through because most of the people in Israel want the elections to go through so that they can vote him out. But I feel like he will let the war continue for quite some time until he has stabilized his political environment in Israel, until he has garnered the love of the people.
Since the beginning of this war, I actually stopped following the politics of Israel.
Yeah.
I don't know, but do you know that there's a time Netanyahu was removed?
There was a time he was removed.
And was he reinstated or something of that sort?
So there was a time he was removed and some other guy
in 2021
took over. And this other guy stood for now the peace and them joining. But now the conservative people who want their land and whatever, did not agree with his ideologies at that time. Most of the people, actually, funny thing, did not agree with that person's ideology. They wanted now a leader who could show strength and protect Israel. Because, they're surrounded by the Middle Eastern countries, mostly the Arab countries, which causes a threat for them being there. And they wanted a leader who would protect them. And Netanyahu was that leader who
now they knew that he is the leader.
Yeah, who would offer them protection. And he's quite smart. I was watching this documentary of how he planned this entire thing. So for them fighting against the Palestinian government, it would be hard. So they literally created Hamas.
Was it them who created Hamas?
Yeah. Okay. They literally created Hamas, funded it to the point that they took over the government of Palestine. Because, it's hard for you to attack another government because people will see you're attacking a government. But it's easier for you to create this demon called Hamas, which you can call a terrorist, a rebel group, and attack it outrightly without
just
fearing.
A proxy instrument to get into the government.
He was one of the key holders who strategized this entire thing of creating this demon that would later on be used to get their interest. So in the long run, it's just them getting their interest. And it's currently working because it's an entire rebellion that's forming on its own. And by it forming, it gives them more right to fight against it. Because globally, it's already recognized as a terrorist organization.
But, as far as maybe history is concerned, there's this thing that usually occurs. I've seen it several times in this, what era can we call it? Maybe post-World War II era. Is that you see these rebel groups or these factions. When you really want to fight them, it's like fighting people who are... It's the same way here in Africa we say that the colonialists were fighting the freedom fighters. Even though you're much superior, even though you are whatever you can be. But these people are fighting for a cause. In as much as you will kill many of them, but eventually they will get what they want. It will cost them to the last person standing. And I've seen it with the Africans fighting for the independence. I've seen it with maybe we can quote the Viet Congs, those Vietnamese guys. In a way, they got what they wanted. And many groups, we've seen it with the Taliban. And Hamas is not new. Houthi is not new. Hezbollah is not new. Actually, Hezbollah has taken over the government on that side in one way or the other. So these groups, I don't really think if Israel will accomplish their goal how it seems to have accomplished right now.
But when I relate with what Israel is doing, I usually like to use the example of United States. So this is a land that was occupied by mostly the Native Americans, which are the Red Indians. And they're occupying most of the land, and now these new guys come in.
Okay.
And they take it slowly by slowly, coming up with these policies, creating ways of them taking the land slowly by slowly, buying the land until they become a nation on its own.
Okay.
So there are examples where that happens, where people come in and take your land and it becomes legally theirs.
Yeah, but you see, I'll say that is one example of people not fighting back. But I'll also link it to maybe how we were colonized.
Okay.
Because some countries, war was not involved. These people came and they signed treaties just that way, and they took over land.
Yeah.
And eventually they were chased away. We'll say they were chased away.
Yeah.
But with the case of maybe America, you find that in one way or the other, these guys, it is like something that was done, and we, as far as maybe a foreseeable future, they will not chase these people away.
Yeah.
So, but with the case of Hamas and all these other people, maybe one goal that they will achieve is they will have humiliated these guys.
Yeah.
They would have obliterated some parts of for them to start from scratch. It will really take them a long time. Yeah. But they haven't killed the cause.
Yeah, the cause still is there.
Yeah, it's still there. But okay, a win is a win. Let them win.
The odd part about the Israel-Palestine thing is most of the countries around them are more hypocrites, because they're not willing to accept in the refugees. The most they have done is providing aid, because I'm aware that Egypt is providing,
one way
or the other is providing aids, but most of them don't want Palestinian refugees. They totally don't want them, so they have been sort of hypocritical about them supporting whatever is going on, but they are still not willing to take any.
Oh, so it seems like these countries are hypocrites.
Yeah, they're not willing to take any refugees.
Okay, but who? Let's be honest. If we go, let's say, to a country like the US, ask them to take these refugees, you know the answer. They will refuse.
They'll refuse.
If you go to the UK, they'll refuse. Yeah. No one will be able to take this. In short, you will not take up because your neighbor is fighting. Yeah. The father, the husband, and the wife are fighting. You won't take in the children.
Yeah.
In as much as you like to, you also have your own problem.
Yeah.
And expecting that your children to be taken by another person, okay, that's also hypocritical. Because the people of Palestine, they were born in that country, they were born in that land. Not unless they really want to get away, of which some do. They want to get away of all those troubles. But I would say that these neighbors are hypocrites for not taking them in.
Yeah.
They have all the right of not taking them in.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that they do have the right. It's legal for them not to take them in. And wow.
but do you think after the war, will there be a Palestine after the war?
Maybe the war will not just end with Palestine.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a larger war starting. We never know. Maybe if Egypt takes the refugee, then next the war knocks at the doorstep of Egypt. Where will the refugees go?
Yeah.
Maybe it will go to Hezbollah. Next it will go to Syria or Yemen.
Yeah.
We really can't say or can't tell.
So Netanyahu released some few posts. This is the first time he did it. He did that in document. The post-war plans for Gaza. One thing he said is he does not want. They're not interested with Gaza. They're not interested in taking Gaza. But what they want to achieve
is a legitimate government.
It's a legitimate government that is not Hamas. So currently, the government that is there is completely Hamas. So getting that legitimate, they said they want people to take over work completely detached from Hamas.
So it's like the CIA coming to DR Congo and killing Lumumba and imposing another person.
Yeah, that's what they want to do, to put a person who will not threaten Israel. And they are only allowed to have weapons that will help them rule the place, but not defend itself. So in a way, they will be sort of rendered useless. So he wants to completely neutralize Gaza to be just a place where people exist, but not a threat to Israel at any point.
That was done to German the first time they went into war.
Okay.
And they wanted to be rendered completely helpless, or they wanted they wanted to finish these guys.
Yeah.
And we see that the pain was so strong.
Yeah.
It gave birth to World War II.
Yeah.
Sure. It gave birth the sanctions that these people had. Now, if they want to maybe do all those sort of things, maybe they would have created another problem. But all I can say is that they've gone to the table, and to the table you won't always get what you want.
Yeah.
Maybe you might get some part of that, and also lose some part. And my hope is he doesn't get that or everything that he wants.
Yeah, and also they are known for not doing what they have said they will do.
Yeah.
So they might have put all this in writings, but they're just known for disobeying.
Going against the
word they have put.
Okay.
Also, you've talked about an escalation of war, and I wanted to ask if there was an escalation of war which would lead to World War III. Where do you think it would start? Is it the Middle East or is it Europe?
What I know, it won't start in Africa.
Okay.
That I'm quite sure. It might start with Taiwan.
It
might start with the Ukraine, Russia. It might start with the nuke boy in Kim Jong-un nuking another country. We really can't tell, but what we know is that we all accept that it cannot just start an all-out escalated war, not unless something significant happens. But what is happening currently is just collecting factions or people sidelining on people siding on other groups, taking sides. And Russia, Ukraine, we already know where people have taken sides. Palestine, Israel, we already know which other place. Taiwan, China, it's another looming.
We know who sides which side.
Who sides which side. So if these wars all start, or if these wars are ongoing, maybe someone can start or can decide to go into the way the European Union or Macron suggested that he brings soldiers into Ukraine. Which that's another escalation. I saw Russia putting their nukes, the strategic bombers ready into use. So I don't know what might happen.
Yeah, but probably if because in the other episode we were talking about the US election, so probably people are hopeful that if Trump takes over the US government, it will be quite easy to end this war. Although in my view, it won't be as easy as people think it will be to end the wars that are currently happening in the world, because it's still hard for them. Because there was a time Putin was talking about how Biden is beneficial for them, and he was sarcastically saying that he being president is just beneficial for them because they'll continue on, continue on staying in Ukraine.
You see, by the way, the story that goes on, you see that it's Boris. This was to end, but Boris went personally to Ukraine not once, not twice, more than twice, I think, to tell this guy Zelensky to not sign the treaty or not accept the treaty that Russia proposed.
Okay.
So it's like he never wanted the war to end.
Okay.
Yeah, these guys, Putin wants this war to end, but as long as his demands are met. Because we all know wars are ended at the table, and at the negotiating table, Ukraine, it's like they don't want to bend.
Well, what are the things that he wanted? I'm assuming one of them was them not joining NATO.
It is the most. And you see, Russia is not guaranteed that Ukraine won't join NATO.
Okay.
The first time they went into a treaty, they went with the West. It was that the West will not expand eastwards. They broke that treaty. They expanded. Another thing, it was a promise that Ukraine will not join NATO. And we are seeing possibly Ukraine might join NATO. So these guys, there are also other people who are not to honor their promises.
Yeah.
So one of them was that, and I think one was relating to the people, the Russian living in Ukraine, the Russian people living in Ukraine. Others, I'm not really familiar with that document, but what I know is that Ukraine, what they wanted is that Russia should not get an inch of Ukraine, and that's quite impossible.
Yeah, so one of the things that Trump said about the war war of Russia-Ukraine, so one comment he made was he will withdraw the funding that is currently
going
to Ukraine. Yeah. And another thing he said about NATO is most countries are not contributing the amount they're supposed, because it's agreement that they contribute a certain amount of their GDP. Oh, anyway, I was saying, so what Trump has commented about the war of Ukraine and Russia is that he will defund Ukraine first of all. And also, when he takes over the US government, he'll make sure that the countries who are not contributing
their contributions.
Their contribution, because ideally they're supposed to contribute a specific amount of their GDP, percentage of their GDP to NATO. So the countries that are not contributing that amount will not get the protection from NATO. So in fact, he said that he will encourage other people to attack them. You know how Trump is known
so
for his
that maybe that sort of amendment is not invoked.
So make sure.
Actually, who was he? I think maybe Trump. It was Vivek. You know, Vivek. I relate him with Trump because they share most ideologies. He was saying that one thing he'll do, he'll cut out the funding. He'll promise Russia that Ukraine will never join NATO. It will never. And another one, it was that the land where Russia is occupying, that's all it gets. As in, they'll get that land.
Or the one that they've taken so far.
In return, Russia to cut out ties with which country? Is it China? So it was Russia to cut ties with China. And Russia will not have any military talks with China. So you see, I really saw it as a very good deal. Like as a deals person, that was a good deal.
But do you think they will agree to part ways with the Chinese?
So a deal is a deal. So you have to enforce it, and you have to honor your deal. If they don't, maybe another thing will come, because now these guys will also have ground against Putin. So if they come up with a deal, sometimes a deal does not always have to be good for you. Because one thing you promised, you wanted Ukraine not to join NATO. You've gotten it. The land that you've taken so far, you have it. Now, what else? We are not going to fund these Ukrainians. Now, in return, what you're going to do, you'll never attack Ukraine. That's one. And number two, you cut business ties with the Chinese. Not business ties, military ties.
Because in terms of business, everyone is doing business with everyone.
So you cut out military ties, and that will be like a way to secure Taiwan in case there's a war with China, because Russia in a way has promised support to China. When they invade Taiwan.
Currently, is North Korea backing China militarily?
Not China, but Russia. I don't know of China, but I know the country that needs most backing, or the country that needs most help at the moment, is Russia. So I saw, North Korea has sent some weapons.
To Russia.
There are some missiles that were launched into Ukraine, and they are North Korean made.
That's interesting.
So in one way, I don't know if Russia agreed to that, but North Korea did it.
It did it on their behalf.
Not on their behalf. I mean, this weapon, let's say the weapon was launched into, the shell was launched into Ukraine, and they found it. They were able to track, and they knew that this weapon is manufactured in North Korea. So definitely will come up with a conclusion that North Korea is in this war, giving you support.
Oh, okay.
But it is not something significant that maybe you still, if it was significant, it would have caused a great alarm.
Yeah.
Or even maybe it's like a retaliation. Ukraine is also getting support from.
Yeah. So I think it's quite interesting what's happening in the global world and the wars
Global
that
scene.